Hello everyone and welcome back. In just under 2 weeks time now, we will be in Japan to join Newcastle United's pre-season tour. They are still out in Germany now doing behind closed doors sessions, and things are looking okay. They're looking much better than they were last week, to say the least. Newcastle are looking at a healthier position. We've had a fantastic Down Heroes interview where he's actually came out on Newcastle United's official channel and he's just spoken about how things have been this summer, what fans can expect, and just what is going to happen going forward. So I feel like it's best just to address a couple of things that he said in that interview now, and also what he said to the journalists, just so we are on the good tracks going forward. And the first obvious thing being is that Newcastle has money to spend. PSR is dealt with. Newcastle have money now where they can go out there, they can spend on some players that they like to bring in. The money is there. That's the first and obvious point we'll make before we talk about our transfer news in this video. Secondly, and this is more on the Eddie Howe side of things, but Eddie Howe's contract has actually been extended last season, but no journalist has reported on it. So Eddie Howe originally had a £5 million buyout in his contract, so the England national team wanted to come in, they'll have to pay £5 million for him. But that's before this announcement where it got revealed that he actually signed an extension last season but never got reported anywhere, so that fee is even higher than £5 million. So more or less rules him out of the England job. The FA would not spell all this money on him and get a guy like a Graham Potter in where they can get potentially someone else on free. So they're just not going to spend all this money on Eddie Howe where they can get somebody else in. So straight away, even before you look into what the manager personally wants, the FA are just not going to put that kind of money in for Eddie Howe. So straight away, he ain't going anywhere. And speaking of Eddie Howe, it's actually been announced over the past year or so that he is adamant in keeping Callum Wilson at the club. So despite him surviving PSR, despite him just about cutting the edge, and now it looks like Eddie Howe is going to stick with him. And honestly, for me, I don't think keeping Callum Wilson's a problem. I think not buying an additional striker is the problem. So if we once again have Isak, Wilson as our only two options, and over less games this season, it's not going to be as big as a problem. But all it takes is one Wilson injury and then Isak's on his own for a large amount of time. So you need a third striker. I can't stress the importance of a third striker. So I'm not against keeping Callum Wilson, but I'm against this if we don't bring a third striker, and we've got to get an additional player in. So it looks like he's going to stay. Kieran Trippier, obviously he's the other older Newcastle player that I haven't heard too much about. But these players, if you're not going to sell them this summer, you're going to have to basically keep them for the rest of their careers. Now, I don't mind that with Wilson so much. Trippier is obviously a huge leader in the dressing room. If you don't sell Trippier this summer, you've got to keep him for the rest of his career because you're going to get no money for him at all. So it's a choice Newcastle has to make now. Do you take the bullet, get some money in to make sure PSR going forward in future seasons isn't an issue? Or do you just keep them now? You decide, you know what, I'm going to have you for the rest of his careers. You could get any money for them. Just keep them until they want to go. So that's where the club find itself in now. I don't necessarily mind it too much, but we need to buy a third striker. I won't say it again. Now it's time to get into the negative articles that journalists have put on about Newcastle United, because my word, I'm sick of them. And we're going to start off with this Alessandro guy. Now, if you've ever seen him before, this is essentially an AC Milan reporter. I've never seen a more biased reporter in my entire life. He's obviously quite bitter about Botman and Tonali, so this guy just, for whatever reason, wants to take it out on Newcastle. So yesterday he's put out saying that an exclusive article that Sandro Tonali wants to go back to AC Milan by 2028, because yeah, of course you know exactly what Sandro wants to do in 4 years time. Which, I mean, again, Tonali's an AC Milan fan. You can probably guess that anyway in a few years time he'd probably want to go back to Milan. I don't think that's unrealistic. But if you look at this guy's articles, you can just see his PR bias towards Newcastle. Botman never wanted to move to Newcastle. He was the AC Milan, moving the money forced him to go to Newcastle. I just continued to go through it. Honestly, I can't stand this guy. And I remember for like a random game at St James's Park in the Premier League, Alessandro actually came in as a journalist. Like, why are Newcastle letting these people in? Like, they're clearly just taking the mick out of us. And Newcastle's just bent over and let this guy come for a Premier League match. But on topic of that, and speaking of the journalists, let's speak about Luke Edwards now, because he probably put on the most poorly timed article I've seen in a long time, where he was just talking about the disaster behind the scenes with Newcastle, all this tension, and anger. And you look up Newcastle United half an hour later and you look at the pictures and you just see how happy the club is. Like, it's such a weird time to put that article on, because I think we're actually at our best possible period all window long. I think this is the best point we've looked. Newcastle have been able to sort everything out. PSR's been dealt with, Amanda and Murder, they just left. We've been able to move on now, and we've got past the worst. We're looking good now. We're looking ahead to the future, and that article came out at such a poor time, in my opinion. And again, like, it's just so negative. Like, well, it don't need to be this negative. Newcastle in a good spot. We're looking healthy. Just relax, we're doing okay. As for transfer news now, the one that continues to come out, I've mentioned a few times already, but this one does not seem to go away, and that is Federico Chiesa, the white winger at Juventus. He is available to buy out now for a fee of 20 million euros, so that's probably around the 17-18 million pound mark, which is actually just a little bit more than what Newcastle paid for Matt Target. I don't know whether that's a good thing for Chiesa or just probably a bad thing for us, how much we spent on Target, but he is available for a little bit more than what we paid for him. And if you look at his stats, I mean, he prefers to play on the right hand side. He's got good stats. I know he's injury prone, which we'll talk about in a bit, but he's available at a price where I think that's a good deal for him. And if Newcastle got the money where they're able to kind of spend around a little bit, definitely someone we should be going in for. Like, I'm a big advocate for Chiesa. I know players like Mbembo have spoken at length about his incredible stats in the Premier League. Again, 43 goal contributions in 98 matches for Brentford's mentor. We've spoken about a few players already. We've got the guy from Leeds, we've got all sorts coming on, but Chiesa's one that doesn't seem to go away. Has a little bit of attention towards him from our for not too much. I think if Newcastle want him and the player's happy coming here, it's a deal that I think is realistic. I think it is feasible. I didn't have an unbelievable Euro campaign, but then again, which Italian players, and I think they're all bloody rubbish, weren't they? So in terms of Chiesa, a player that, listen, again, Newcastle are linked with him. Newcastle are interested in recording the reports. Definitely one that I think we can make happen if we needed to. Even if it's a desperate sign that Newcastle couldn't find anyone else, we've got to go in for someone. I don't think Chiesa's a bad sign. I really don't think he is. Obviously, again, he had to be wary of his injury position at the club. But listen, I think we can do well with him. I think it's a player that we can handle. And someone that I like to see at Newcastle. Finally, for the last bit of news, not much in all honesty from a local journalist, but he's mentioned alongside Thiaw, so this is the German centre-half at AC Milan, which I hope he signed, by the way, just to annoy Alessandro even more. But it's essentially mentioned the fact that he believes there's a bit of a smoke screen going on, and believes that over the next couple of days someone will pop out. And I think that probably is the impression I'm getting as well, because it's been a bit of a quiet week. I know the Euros has just finished, the Cotton Milk has just finished. I said that was the big key factor why Newcastle hadn't done much over the last couple of weeks. So once the competitions ended and pre-seasons began, which it has now, that'd be the stage where Newcastle would shoot back in, and I think we will. Maybe it's just been a case over the past couple of days. Newcastle have been rethinking exactly where they want to go. They're going to look at what players they want to bring in, maybe just take a little bit of a step back, and now they're going to go fully out. But I believe over the next couple of days something big's going to happen, because again, we need to get these players in as soon as possible. Ideally, I think Eddie Howe would like to take these players out to the Japan pre-season, which I've stated in 2 weeks' time. So the idea is going to want those players out for them. Worst case scenario, probably want them in for the Salah Cup weekend, which is the week after that. But he needs them in for this pre-season games, because obviously he needs to get some games out of them before we actually start the season off in the Premier League. So it's important we get them in as soon as possible. Newcastle's had a quiet window despite signing 4 players. Only one of them, I would argue, is going to make an impact in the squad. I know Lewis Howe was technically one last season, so I haven't classed him, but Lloyd Kelly will make an impact. The goalkeepers are just there to throw numbers, really, but it still hasn't been a marquee sign yet, which is expected to happen. So once that does happen, I think Newcastle would then get the ball rolling a bit more. Still expecting probably 3 more to come in, I would have thought. Probably 2 or 3 more top signs, but the money's there, as Downey was said in his interview, so it's just about waiting out. And I like to think over the next couple of days, I believe something will happen. Can't confirm it. Obviously, I'm going to want to make it clear now. But as I just said there, again, he needs players in as soon as possible. So I personally think over the next couple of days, especially going into next week, something big's going to happen. So stay tuned on the channel. Will it be Chiesa? Will it be someone else? That is the question. And what would the answer be? Let me know down in the comment section your thoughts, guys. I hopefully recapped a bit on the video today. Obviously, Downey just came up a couple of days ago now. I mentioned a lot of big factors to talk about, and it's put Newcastle fans in a better mood. and it should, because we're going to have a good window ahead of us and we're going to have a good season ahead of us. So enjoy it, make most out of it. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. I appreciate you watching as always, and we'll see you in the next one.